Hi heroes, hello, it's Petra Deeter. Today I wanted to walk through with you a paper that I have mentioned a few times. It's a paper about a quantitative measure of splitting in children of parental alienation. Now before I go into that, I wanted to remind you guys of a few things. One of the things is that I think today or maybe yesterday we posted a question about what do you think children of divorce or separated family or children of single parents, what should they be taught? The reason we posted this is because we've noticed that among the adult children of parental alienation that we have talked to and we have worked with, as well as, we recently also talked to a lot of judges, school counselors, legislators about these sort of issues. And we noticed that sometimes the court system would send parents to go and take co-parenting classes. But children of divorce, and whether they are subjected to alienation or not, the fact that there was a breakdown in the marriage of their parent have an impact on them. Children are usually blame themselves. They usually feel that this is their fault. They are likely to be subjected to moves. They might be moved across the country or move from their school that they familiar with, move away from their friends. They have less contact with one side of the family or both sides of the family. They might be, even if parents are getting along well and the kids are going back and forth between the two homes, that particular activity of moving between the homes is difficult for the children. So these children are subjected to more challenging situation. And we talked to the adults that have grown up through that, and a lot of them said, yeah, I wish there was some kind of support, because they felt like it was their fault, that it was something wrong with them. Two is that they felt like they are alone, that something is wrong with them. I wonder, is our audio working, you guys? I know that some of you guys are watching. I think it's live, okay. But let me know if the audio is working, and let me know where you're coming from. And also let me know what you think about that idea. Sorry, there's a bit of noise here. I'm actually not home. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. And then I know there's somebody in the responded to our question and said, oh, this is a ridiculous question. These children should not be treated any differently. This is not about isolating them and treating them any different. This is about when they needed help and when they feel like they are alone and they need a support system. Having some kind of program that help them to learn about self-esteem, learn about critical thinking, so that they know that they are allowed to love both parents, that they deserve to love, that this is not their fault, and also show them and help them what it means to have a good relationship, because a lot of the time when they go through this kind of situation, growing up in a broken family, they don't get to see and understand what is normal, what is good. And then when you don't have that model of what is good, you're growing up and you may end up in very bad relationships and not realizing that that's not a good situation. You thought that that's normal. So then you end up sticking to relationship that's really bad, and then you're just stuck in cycles of abusive or bad relationships. So really it's not about making them feel like they are victims. This is about providing resources so that the children know that they have support and they have options, and helping them learn about self-esteem, about confidence, about knowing who they are as their identity, things like that. So we are working with like I said, we talk to a lot of judges and legislators and school programs and also different other nonprofit organizations about this program. So we are in the process of putting together some pilot programs at some schools, and we are also working on the curriculum for this program. This is going to be a special program that we're still trying to figure out, but right now the pilot program is going through some school, but we're still trying to figure out where it would fit best, whether it should go through the counselor at a school or whether it should go through a program like CASA, where, it's a, so we're still trying to figure out the logistic of it. But the reason we pose the question is we're asking you what kind of things you think is important, because just in case we miss something important. Hi Joe, thank you so much. Really appreciate your input there. He or she said that yes, this has brought me and my son close, even though he lives with his dad. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so yeah, that's the point. Is we wanted to implement this a little bit broader to provide more support for these children, because parents sometimes get co-parenting class, but the children get nothing. And they do suffer greatly, and especially like when the kids get pulled out of a school and an environment that they are familiar with, and then get brought to, sometimes parents get divorced and then they move across the country to a different state, and now they get thrown into a completely new environment, and sometimes they are subjected to bullying. So like teaching these kids the kind of skills to deal with changes, things like that. So that's what we are working on, and that's why we asked that question. Another thing is someone brought up on our Facebook page, which was really important, we wanted to also bring it up, is that, and they reminded us of this, is that anytime that you see a post on your timeline that say that it's coming from Victim to Hero, please know that Victim to Hero is a public page. It's actually not a private Facebook group, it's a public page. So just please keep that in mind, so that if you leave a comment or something, anybody can see it. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted to post something anonymously, you can leave a private message to us, like you can click on the message, and then we will post it anonymously for you, because we at the same time don't want it for you to be sharing sensitive information out in the public. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I think that those things, I don't know if I forget something. I feel like I definitely forget something that I'm supposed to remind you guys. So a few days ago, we did an interview with Rohner, who is a dad that was alienated, and then his son was killed by the alienator. And that was a very tragic story. When we went through that story, we went through a structure framework of the 5-factor model to diagnose parental alienation, and clearly, like, it showed throughout that model that it was a very severe case of parental alienation, and really sad that it ended tragically. The reason we felt like that kind of event was important is to bring awareness, because the earlier and the sooner you as a parent intervene and take actions, and the earlier and sooner the system intervene, the better the situation is going to be. It's hard to predict when you're dealing with really narcissistic and personality disorder people. It's hard to know how far they might go. So, there's no guarantee in any situation, but definitely the sooner you know what to do, the better, hopefully, it can be for you to save your children. Claudia brought up something else really important I saw in the chat room. Thank you, Claudia. So Claudia is reminding me about the hut. So this is to do with the Boundless Love art installation. So the Boundless Love art installation, let me make sure I get this out. Sorry, let me just pull this up so that you have the information. But for people that have sent us your hat, we are still definitely working on it, so don't feel like it's lost if we're putting it together. But for people who are not familiar with that, okay, let me just share this. Sorry, how do we do this? Sorry, my setup is a little bit different today. Not in my normal operating environment. So, okay, I think I can figure out how to share this. If we could, let me see. Share. Please look. All right. There you go. So, this Boundless Love art installation is a project. It's a public awareness program where we wanted you to send us heart-shaped cutout about 2 inches in dimensions, and for people in other countries, it's about 5 centimeter wide and tall. Don't make it too big, like just try to be around that size. It can be made of any material, you know, plastic, paper, glass, wood, you know, cardboard. Some people send us fabric, crochet, any kind of material, but heart shaped, about 2 inches long. I make 2 inches in diameter, and you can put messages on it. You can decorate it in whatever color you want, however you like to decorate it. The only thing that we're going to ask is do not put photo or any personal identifying information on it. So don't put full name, don't put email addresses, phone number, nothing like that. Email address, no personal identifying information. So there's no photo, but you can write messages. You can use first name, that's okay. You can use nickname, things like that, that's okay. And then if you could, because what we are trying to do is we wanted to hang these hats. So we have received hundreds of these so far, and we really wanted to get to 1,000. So if you could mail it to us to the address that you see on the screen right now, it's Petra Deeter, PO Box 56116, Los Angeles, California 90056. And so please help sending more hearts to us. Anybody can send this. You can send as many as you want. You can ask your friends who are supportive of you to send it. You can ask your family, extended family, anybody can send this to us. We wanted to get to 1,000, and what we are working on, and Claudia is a part of this project, and we're also looking for more organizations to be partners in this. And we have a few organizations that are partners in this. Is what we wanted to do is to build an art installation, and it's about 7 foot tall, and it's a modular installation, so we can assemble and disassemble on site, and it's going to be a traveling piece. So on this frame, we're going to hang these 1,000 hats, and then we're going to have it displayed around the world. We're going to have this piece. It's going to be the first place it's going to be. It's going to be at the in January in Austin, Texas, you guys. There are potentially 2 locations in Texas, in Austin, Texas. But we know for sure one location is going to be at the Capitol building in January. So we are in the process of building this installation. I don't know where, though I have the design here to show you guys. Let me see. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't have it on this computer, so I'll show you that to you guys later, but it's sort of 2 hat frame. They're incomplete, and the bigger one is representing the parent, the alienated parent heart, and the smaller one is representing the child. And so across these, we're going to hang these 1,000 hats. So yeah, please mail those to us, and we're still trying to figure out how to build the structure so that it's light enough and easy enough for us to assemble and disassemble on site. And then, like I said, we are looking to have this in January at potentially 2 locations in Austin. We are probably going to Athens in May with this structure, and then I think it's going to go to Colorado in June, I believe. I think it's going to also to Paris, I think in May. So we have a number of locations that we are working with. So you're going to start seeing this structure around the world soon. So please help us collect more hats. We are good with what we have so far, but more would be great. Okay, so let's go into this particular study, this particular paper that I wanted to share with you guys about. This paper is a measurement of splitting. And so if you guys are familiar with the 5-factor model, which is the forensic model to diagnose parental alienation, the model look at all aspects of a particular case. So looking at both the behaviors of the alienators and the behaviors of the targeted parent and the behaviors of the children to trying to figure out if there is parental alienation. Okay, I saw a question from Sue. Is there any place in Massachusetts? We don't have a place yet, but if you have any suggestions, we are all open to listen. If you know a public library that open for it, if you know a coffee shop, if you know really any places that are willing to let us, you know, a restaurant, maybe a library or a bookstore, or, you know, anything, even a retail store, any community center. So if you know, have connection with anybody somewhere, if you work at a particular school, that would be amazing, you know, things like that. So please let us know if you know of a location. We would be happy to talk to people and coordinate and get it there. What do the heart, I can't see this comment. I'm sorry. Oh, what do the hearts represent? The heart is your heart sending to your alienated children. That's what it represents. And on there, you can write messages to either to your children or to yourself or to the world about alienation. It represents, so this structure is to raise awareness, public awareness to the psychological abuse to the children due to this dysfunctional family dynamic. So we wanted the world to see how heartbreaking it is, and how, despite all the pain and all the struggle and everything, the love that you have for children is forever. And so that's why it's called boundless love. That means that there's nothing that can stop your love for your children, and that's what it represents. We wanted, that's why we wanted to show just thousands of hearts. That's the point of it. You just look at this. These are all the love, and you know, a lot of you struggle with a lot of things, false allegation. You know, people that telling your children that you don't love them, that you abandoned them, and etc. etc. These are the hearts that show that that's so not true. That how much love you have for your children, and so that's what it is. Okay, so the paper, I did post it in the video captions so that you have the exact link to where you can get more information, and it's available publicly actually, so you can download the paper yourself. But if you have trouble getting the paper, let us know, just message us and we will get it for you. But let me share the screen of the paper so that we can walk through it together. Is this working? I don't see it. Did it work? No. Oh, okay, it's working now, I think. All right, so this is a paper. It's called An Objective Measure of Splitting in Parental Alienation, the Parental Acceptance-Rejection Questionnaire. Okay, now, I thought this paper is amazing because really this is one of those papers that show you how parental alienation is unique, and how you can actually measure it. You can actually show clearly when children are alienated, they are different. They are not like normal children, and they're not like abused children. So that's why I thought this is a very important paper. Okay, so the abstract said, both clinicians and forensic practitioners should distinguish parental alienation, which is rejection of a parent without legitimate justification, from other reasons for contact refusal. Alienated children who were not abused often engage in splitting and lack of ambivalence with respect to the rejected parent, and children who were maltreated usually perceive the abusive parent in an ambivalent manner. Now, for people that are not familiar with what splitting and ambivalence is, okay, Sue is asking about the size of the heart. They're 2 inches in size. They're 2 inches in size, so whatever dimension you wanted to use, it's about 2 inches. You can send as many hearts as you want. You know, you can send 2, 4, 6. It's up to you. I don't have any with me right now, but we have shown you guys some of the examples because, you know, like there's hundreds of them that have been sent to us, and we have shown them before in some of the past event. But okay, so back to splitting. Now, what splitting is and what ambivalence is. So ambivalence is the natural way of human to see anybody or to see anything is that when we look at someone, we see them not as black and white. We see people in normal situation, we see people as have some good characteristic and some bad characteristic. We definitely have some people that we like better, that we see more good things in them, but we still can see something that they're not perfectly good. And then there's people that we may not like so much, and we definitely see more sort of not good things in them, but we can still see good things in them. We don't just see people as completely black and white, as in one person is completely good and have nothing bad at all, and then the other person is completely bad and there's nothing good at all. That's very unnatural, right? So that's what ambivalence is. Ambivalence is being able to see the good and the bad, the goods and the bads in people. Splitting is when you look at someone and all you see is good or bad. So it's completely black and white, and that is very unnatural. And so if you are familiar with the 5-factor model, one of the factor is to looking at the children behavior, and one of the manifestation, like behavioral manifestation in children that have been alienated is splitting, which means that they are not able to be fair and be able to see their parents in colors anymore. All they see is black and white, meaning that they see the alienating parent as completely good. They are not able to see any shortcoming in that parent. They see that parent as a perfect angel, and they see the alienated parent as complete evil. All they see is the bad things, and they are not able at all to see anything good, even a little bit, in the alienated parent. And that's something that is pretty common. It doesn't happen to all of the alienated children, but pretty common, especially in severe cases. And this is what we're going to see today. So let's go back to the paper. It's so slow for some reason, so I apologize. I'm trying to make sure that it's sharing. Okay, now it's sharing. Okay, so back to here. The purpose of this study was to assess the usefulness of the Parental Acceptance-Rejection Questionnaire. Now, so Parental Acceptance-Rejection Questionnaire is PARQ, is actually a very common, well-recognized tool to use in assessing children in general, like the children wellness and psychology and their perspective of their children, of their parents. This tool has been developed a long time ago and used by a lot of people, and has nothing to do with, it was not designed specifically for parental alienation. It's a tool that had been used in psychology. Okay, so this study is trying to say, okay, let's go and use this tool that we already have in psychology to look at our children and try to see if we can identify and quantify the degree of splitting, and see if it could help us diagnose parental alienation. And so this is an abstract between the summary of the paper, and they found that the results show that severely alienated children engage in a high level of splitting by perceiving the preferred parent in extreme positive terms and the rejected parent in extremely negative terms. And splitting is not manifested by children in any other family groups. So they look at children that have been severely alienated, and they look at other kind of children. And in this paper, they look at children that are in normal family, and they look at children that have been abused. So, those children actually abuse and abandon children, and none of those children show the same characteristic as children that have been alienated. And that's what they found in this paper, is that children have been alienated are suffering from splitting. Like they have high degree of splitting, but other children don't have that. Okay, so so with that, they think that this tool, the PARQ, like the Parental Acceptance Rejection Questionnaire, could be a useful tool for both clinicians and forensic practitioners in evaluating children of divorced parents when there is concern about the possible diagnosis of parental alienation. Okay, so they go in and they start introducing, what parental alienation is, and then they talk about splitting, so let's go back to the beginning of this paragraph. Down here it just references. And by the way, this paper is by Dr. William Bernet and colleagues. These are the author of the paper up here. And this paper was published in the Journal of Forensic Sciences. So this is a peer-reviewed paper. It's in an academic journal. Okay, so and here are the different schools that the authors came from. So this paper came out of Vanderbilt University School of Medicine, International Institute for Parental Alienation Studies in Canada, University of Connecticut, etc. Okay, so in here, so this particular first paragraph is talking about splitting and talking about, I mentioned to you guys about one aspect of the behavior manifestation is talking about how children suffer from splitting. Okay, so there is said parental alienation, which occurs primarily in children of separated and divorced parents, has been described in the literature of mental health and legal professionals in at least 35 countries on 6 continents. Okay, and then the way that in the past that we identify parental alienation is just by looking at the behavior of the children. But now, obviously, the tool has become broader, and we are looking at behaviors of everybody involved. But anyway, parental alienation is a complex dynamic that affects the mental mechanism that affects the children. Okay, so we'll go down here, and then they talk here about the 8 behavioral manifestation in the children. Okay. Okay, so and then there's a note here that said, however, children who experience severe parental alienation almost always manifest splitting, such as that they idealize the alienating parent and devalue the target parent. And they said this aspect of parental alienation is not subtle. A boy who was alienated from his father said, "My mother is my angel and my father is a devil." Now the same metaphor was used in their review by this author in their review of the concept of splitting. Okay, so we'll go down here in the next page. Okay, so this is a 8 behavior manifestation. What happened? Sorry, it looks like trying to reload. Okay, apologize, I'm not in my normal system, so it's a little bit weird missing whatever that it's trying to do. Let's make this a bit bigger. It's somehow become a lot smaller now. Okay, all right, so what you're seeing here is a behavior manifestation that you see most commonly in very typical for alienated children. So you see campaign of denigration against the target parents. This is probably what you have seen. The children became very critical of you. They, nothing that you're doing is good enough, and all the good memories that they had with you in the past suddenly turn into bad, etc. And then frivolous rationalization for the child criticism of the target parent. So when they criticize you, they use really frivolous, unreasonable reason. They don't have real good reason to say if they don't want to be with you or they don't like you. Sometimes they can't explain it at all. It's just like, oh, you the bad parent, without any justification. Okay, lack of ambivalence. This is the splitting that we are talking about. And then the next one here, it said is independent thinker phenomenon, which is where the children come out and say, this is all my idea. I came up with the idea of rejecting this parent. It's not because of anybody feeding it to me. And you know that this is not true. They have been influenced by other people. And then reflective support of the alienating parent against the target parent, meaning that if you as a target parent have a disagreement with the alienating parent, the child will jump in and support the alienating parent. Sorry, there's stuff going on outside that's very noisy. traffic or something. I'm not sure. Sorry. All right. Yeah. So let's go back to this. Okay. So reflective support, meaning that if there's a disagreement between you and the alienating parent, the child will jump in and blindly support the alienating parent without whether the child truly agree or disagree or whether you're right or wrong. The child will just support the alienating parent without any reason, without any backup or any information for that, blindly, and that's how it's called reflective support. Okay, another one is absence of guilt over exploitation and mistreatment of the target parent. So, many alienated children become cold, defiant, rude, sometimes even violent to the targeted parent, and then yet they show no guilt, no remorse, even though this is a child that before alienation was very loving and may have been very respectful of you, but now because of alienation they show no guilt and no remorse for their behavior, which is not normal for children. Children, when they're rude or cold or they've done something wrong, they usually have some sense of remorse and guilt over that. Okay, borrowed scenarios is when children use words or scenario or situation that are not natural for children, and they use things that only adults would normally use. So things like, bringing up things like, oh, you're not paying child support, or, this is to do with the evidence of some case, and, this is illegal, and etc. Using things that children have no business to know or be involved with, and then bringing in details of the legal fight between you and the alienated parent, for example. So that's the borrowed scenarios. And then the last one is spread the child's animosity towards the target parent extended family. So not only the child rejects you, but also rejected the whole side of your family, including other siblings or relatives or grandparents and things like that. Okay, so the term splitting is, this paper go on and explain about the term splitting. Splitting is not a term that just started with the term parental alienation. It's been something that have been used it has a long history in psychology, psychiatry, and psychoanalysis. So you see it here. And then the paper go in and reference a lot of different work in the past that looking at splitting. And usually this is actually a psychotic condition. Splitting is what happened when it is a defense mechanism, because they trying to trust when somebody had trouble adapting to something, they use splitting so that they try to justify their behavior. And that's what this essentially this here is talking about. So for example, here it said, this particular author classifies splitting as a pathological primitive defense mechanism in which the defended individual segregates experiences into all good and all bad categories with no room for ambiguity and ambivalence. So it's a mental mechanism because the children are trying to protect themselves from uncomfortable feelings of cognitive dissonance that is from the anxieties that caused by the ongoing parental conflict. So there's a continual warfare between the mother and the father, and children often find it difficult to maintain affection for both parents at the same time. So they resolve this dissonance by the mechanism of splitting, that is trying to gravitate into an enmeshed relationship with one parent and strongly rejecting the other parent. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Like I said, you can download this paper and get a lot more detail. I'm just kind of walk through it with the basic summary, hopefully. But there's more information here about splitting. Okay, but again, like more information that says the same thing. Splitting is the mechanism of splitting is to reduce ambiguity. So children are struggling, and when, especially if one parent is trying to destroy that child with relationship with another parent and saying all the bad thing, or imply all the bad thing, then the child is struggling because the child used to love you, but now the child is being forced to not love you. So in order to figure out this, reconcile this struggle, they use splitting, meaning they try to make you look all bad so that they can be okay with that struggle. They can overcome the struggle. Okay, so let's go on. So there are different tools in psychology in the past. So this particular section is talking about different tools in the past to use to measure spleen. So this is like the tool that we are using today on this particular study is not the only tool. There's different tool out there. Okay, so then let's go on. And then they go into the particular tool that used in this paper, which is called the Parental Acceptance-Rejection Questionnaire, PARQ. Now, this is a 60-item questionnaire for children to complete regarding their mother and father. And it was not used specifically to evaluate children of divorced parents. Like I mentioned, this tool has been around for a long time in psychology. It's used for adults, for children, for, just in general. But it's to measure, and in this study, they are using it to measure spleen. Okay. So this is a 60 question, right? It's a questionnaire that has 60 questions. And so the kind of question is, for example, I don't remember all the questions, but I think one of the questions is, my father loved me, right? If I agree, the highest point is 4. If I sort of agree, it's 3. Not really. It's like neutral. I think is. Can you go to 0? No, it's 1 to 4. You grade a question from 1 to 4, and when you highly agree with something, it's 40, and if you really disagree with something, it's 1. And then you got 2 and 3 in somewhat of like a neutral, close to neutral position. Right, so imagine you have 60 questions per parent, like the child's going to do the question on one parent at a time. So you got 60 questions per parent, and the highest score is 4 per question. So that means it's 240 is the maximum score. Okay, this is important, keep this in mind. So, and then if the lowest score is 60, because the score is from 1 to 4, and you have 60 questions, so if you graded 1 for all the questions, then you got 60. So the highest possible score for a parent is 240, and the lowest possible score is 60. Okay. So anyway, so that's the tool. All right. So what they did is, they go in and did this study on, I think. I'm trying to think 3 or 4 groups. I think we're going to find out in a second here. So they choose children from intact families, and then they choose children from divorced parents, and then they choose children from neglected parents, and then they choose children that have been severely alienated as determined by court. Okay, so we have children that have been divorced, but the parents are still kind of good, getting along, right? So we have divorced children. So we have 4 different groups. We have children from intact family, which is families that are just normal children, are healthy, in healthy, sort of healthy environment. Children of divorced parents, which is children in the divorced parent, but they're still good with each other. They still see both parents. And then children that have been neglected, so children that have been abused or neglected. And then the final group, go down here, is alienated children. And with the alienated children, they split it into 2 different groups. Those that have been alienated by fathers, and those that were alienated from their mothers. So we have 5 different groups. Okay, and these alienated children was determined by court to be severely alienated, and they were going through some kind of program. Okay, so essentially, remember there's 5 groups, and so they went through this process. So here, this paper is explaining how the children are taking these questionnaire, for the fathers and for the mother, and they get the score. So that's the explanation of this section here. Okay. So we see here the summary where it talk about, here are the intact family, the children from the divorced family, children from the neglected or abused family, and the children that was alienated from father and alienated from mother. We noticed that these are the number of participants, which means that the group size are somewhat consistent in all these groups. And also the genders, it seems that there are kind of somewhat even, except for the intact family, there seem to be more male than female in terms of the children. And then also looking at the age, the median age of the children, so most of them is about 12 to 13 years old, or even for the alienated fathers, 14 years old. So they all like early teen, pre-teen kind of age, right? And then there's a standard deviation. Standard deviation is, let's just say this is a group of children. Most, like the mean age is 12, and then standard deviation is to say most of the group is going this far out. So, you know, you look here, it's about 2.9. So the mean age is 12. That means that most of the children is about 11 to 14, roughly 11 to 14. And the same here, if you look at this, it's also about 11 to 14. So most of the children are in this group, in this study. So five different group of the children, they're all around 11 to 14 years old. Okay, so here is the result of the study. Let me just look at a few things. I saw some question in the chat room. I will go through your question. Please feel free to post your question. I will try to go through later. Let me continue with this. Okay, so now they go through the question, and then so let's just read it, and then I wanted to show you graphically what it means. So it found that, okay, this is an intact family. They found that the children think that their score for their father is about 93, and the score for mother is 93. So that means that the children in the intact family seeing both of their parents to be about the same, you know, around 93. And so 60 is the best score. It's the lowest possible score, and the lower score, the more loving the children think, or the more good they think the parent is, right? So between 60 to 240, 240 is the worst, and 60 is the best. The children in a normal intact family think that their parents about 93. Like if you look at both for mother and father, it's pretty much the same. And the standard deviation here is 10 and 11. So essentially it's the same. You're looking at around 88 to 98. That's the range. So, you know, they think their parents about 90 something. So between the score of 60 to 240, that's a really good score. They think that their parents are loving and good parents. And both of them, they see both the father or the mother is the same, right? Okay, now look at the divorced children. Okay, this is the children that coming from divorced family, but they are amicable and they're going back and forth and seeing both parents, right? They see the father is about 119 here, and you see the mother is 115, right? So 119 to 115 is pretty close because we're looking at the scale from 60 to 240. So 119 to 115 is pretty close. And so you've noticed that the father and the mothers are still, the children see both parents to be kind of the same age, but they're not as loving as the children that seeing their parents in an intact family, right? Because earlier we're looking at 93, and now they've gone to about 115, 116, 118 now, right? So, but again, you notice they see that the father and mother are the same, right? And they're all about 119, 118 to 115. So, okay, so now keep going. And then we see, so that's the second group, right? First group is intact family. The second group is divorced, children of divorced parents. And then let's look at the neglect children. Now the neglect children, unfortunately, in this study, they only found the neglect children from single parent, and they found all of the children that participated in this study was the children that was living with their mothers and not being able to see their father again. It's either because of abandonment or estrangement or whatever the reason, they were abused or neglected by the father. This is not, this is just an accidental thing. Like in the studies, they were not able to build another group, like find another group, because sometimes when you do a research study and you post a thing out and try to get people to participate in that research, sometimes you don't get enough people to sign up for the study. So the people that sign up for this study, the neglected children, the family that have neglected children, they are all was neglected or abused by their father, not the one that was, we don't have data for the children that was neglected or abused by their mother. But anyway, so when you go in, you see that they see their mothers at 99, right? Remember, the intact families, they think their mother is about 93, right? And then you see in the divorce case, they think their mother is about 115, 116. Now, in the neglected situation, they see their mother is about 99, which is around 100, which is, still kind of loving-ish, but a little bit less than in an intact family, a little bit better in the divorce situation, right? So the parent that they stay with, they think that the parent's pretty good, but they don't think that this mother is 60, but they also don't think this mother is 100, right? Okay. Now, however, they look at the fathers, right? The father abandoned or abused them, and these children give the score for the father of 144. So you notice that they see that the person that abandoned them is a lot worse than the mother that stay and still raising them, right? So 144, they see that they don't think that this father is very loving. So we can see that. And this is like a lot worse than the intact family, a lot worse than the divorced family, and definitely worse than the parents that staying to take care of them. Right? So these children see the parent that abandoned them is a fair bit less loving. Okay? So these are the abused and neglected children. Okay? Remember that, 144. Okay, now let's look at the alienated children. Remember, we had two separate groups for alienated children. Children that was alienated from fathers and the children that was alienated from mothers. Okay, so let's go in to the situation where the children was alienated by their father. Okay, so if you were alienated by their father, you look at the mother score is 65. Okay, 65. Notice something strange here, because even in the intact family, the children seeing their mother is about 93. But in this case, the children think the mother is 64. And remember, 60 is the highest possible score. 60 is the highest possible score. So this is pretty much think that this mother is the angel. Okay? These are the children was alienated from their father by their mother. Okay? And then, if you look at the score by for the father, these children think their father is 232. So this is pretty much thinking that their father is a devil, because 240 is the max. And yet this father, like the worst, is 240. And now they give this father 232. So these children that have been alienated from father think that their father is a devil and think that the mother is an angel. Because the mother is like 65, 64, close to 60, which is the ultimate, the best score. And think of the father as 232, which is close to the worst, which is 240. Okay, now those are the children that was alienated from father. So let's look at the children that was alienated from mother. Now, let's look at those. Now, when they were alienated from mother, they think that their mother is 212 or 213 here. Right? Again, remember the score for children that was abused, just up here. Even when they was abused, they think that the abusive parent is 114. But when they were looking at the parent that did not abuse them, but just because they were alienated, they think that parent is 213. So it's even worse than the parent that was abusive. And then when you look at the alienator, when the alienator is the father, you notice the score here is 68. Again, it's very close to 60. So it's the same thing here. For children that was alienated from mother, they think that their mother is a devil and their father is an angel. And this is very interesting. So they show the graph here of like the summary of the result. I mean, this is just a lot more like specific data. But when you look at the graph, and these are just kind of, the point difference is so minor, it's not even worth looking at it. And then there's this graph here that it shows the range. I don't like this graph, so I wanted to show you guys what I think it should look like in a second. So let's, I think that there's a way of seeing this a lot more visually. So let's do this. Share, let me share the screen. Let's do this. So essentially what the result is saying that, let's say this is the score. All right. And over here is Angel. Okay. And over here at the bottom here is Devil. Right? So, and then we know that the angel here is the best score is 60. Sorry. No. Sorry. 60. Sorry. I need to put 60 here. All right. So let's say this score is 60, please. This is 60. Okay, and then this here is 240. Remember, 240 is the worst score that you could get. What are we doing? This is not 60. All right, so the best score is 60, the worst score is 240. And if you get 240, you're the devil, not angel. Gosh, what's going on here? Sorry. Like I said, I'm not in my system. It's a little bit different today, so apology for this. I'm still trying to run this system. It's not my normal system. Put it here. All right, so, all right. Okay, so this is 60, this is 240. We are talking about 180. So in the middle, 180, let's divide it by 3. So we're looking at 60 each. So around here would be 120, I would say. I think 120 is around here, right? And then 180 is around here. That makes sense to you guys? All right. Now, so you've noticed, if you're looking at the result, you see that the group of children is intact family. They see their parents about 93, right? So you look at the scale, you see intact family. So this is 120, this is 60. So 90 is around, 93 is around here. Intact family. So parents in intact family is around here, right? So we'd be like around 90 something, right? And then remember, let's just go back to the thing. I actually don't remember the number, so let me just find that number to make sure that I get the right number. Where did it go? Okay, it's not here. Where's the paper? Sorry, let me find the paper. Here, close. Split. Oh, sorry. All right, let's open this again. Gosh, it's a little bit of challenge with technology today, but I found it. There it is. Resolve, share screen. Okay, so remember in the intact family, the father is about 93 and the mother is about 93. So they're about 90-ish, and they both the same, both parents, right? And then when you look at the divorce situation, but both parents about 100, so the father is 118, mother is about 115. So they're both about, let's say, around 116 or something like that. Okay, so let's look at that. Let's put that in there. So this is a divorce situation. It's 116, which is still under 20. So let's put that there. Parents in, let's put divorced parents. It's 116, I would say around here somewhere, right? So it's like here-ish. Okay, and then you look at abusive parents. Okay, so these are the neglect and abuse parents. The good parent is about 99, and the bad parent is 144. Okay, so let's do that. Share screen. So abusive parent is 144. So 120, 180, in the middle is 150, so 144 is around here. So abusive or neglecting parents, they are around 144, so I would say around here. All right, and let's put a line, so the levels are here. Okay, so then look at the alienated children. You've noticed with alienated children, right? If the child was alienated from the father, the child see the father as 232, and if the child was alienated from the mother, the child see the mother as 213. So 213 or 204, 213 or 230, 213 and 230. So let me put those on our scoreboard. 213 is alienated mother. So 232 is like right here. Alienated father. 213 is like pretty much down to the devil place. And then alienated mother is 213. So it's like 200 and so 180, 240 in the middle would be 200. So 213 would be around like here. Okay. Okay, and then let's look at how the children think of the alienated. When the children are alienated by the mother, they think the mother is 65, right? And then if they're alienated by the father, they think the father is 68, right here, around 68. So 65 or 68. Let's put that on the scoreboard. All right, so this is 60, this is 120. So 68 to 60 something. So really, this is where they think, the children think the alienated is. It's around right here. Okay, so that's the whole scoreboard. I'm just gonna double check the chat room. Oh, I saw the question from Steph. Did you notice that it didn't matter the gender of the parent? Because really the difference is so insignificant. It's like, it's almost, I would say it was not statistically significantly different. So anyway, so this is the scoreboard for children perspective, is that normally the children think their parents are around here, right? So this is the angel and this is the devil. They think their parents are usually pretty good. Even if their parents are divorced, if they're not alienated, they generally think their parents is closer to the angel side, right? But even when the children have been abused or neglect, they still think their parents are okay, somewhere in the middle, right? They don't think that their parents are devil. But if you have children that have been alienated, suddenly they think that their parents, like the alienators, are the angel. You see, it's all the way here, and the alienated parents are all the way here as a devil. And the difference is so minor, so I don't think it's about gender. Children basically think the alienated parent are devils and the alienators and the angel. And that's the problem, is when you see a child that see the two parents in such a splitting way, like you see this, the way they see the parent are like really, and there's clearly, there's no better way of seeing splitting, right? When a child that see one parent as an angel and another parent as a devil, it's so different. It's so unusual, because normally they see their parent, both their parents around here, and in the abuse and neglect, they might see their parents a little bit less good, but they never have a situation where they see one parent all the way up here and the other parents all the way here. So I just thought that is such a telling. It's such a clear way of seeing. It's so significant. So significant to show you how different it is. And so this is why, so the paper was saying that how this is an interesting way to consider this as a tool to quantitatively measure children and to use it as a tool to diagnose potentially, like not exclusive, but it's potentially a helpful tool to diagnose children of parental alienation. And I thought that's a really, really good study, because like I said, this is a way for quantitatively measure something. So anyway, like I said, we can send the paper to you, or there's information in the caption of this video, so you can actually find the information yourself. It's free to download this paper online, so you can actually just go there and download it. But you can see how unnatural it is for children when they look at parents that way. You can see how unnatural it is. And so for any clinician or forensic psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, for anybody to look at a child and see the child that way, that should signal to them that something is wrong with this child. When they look at a child that has such a strong placement in splitting in the way they look at the two parents, that should be a signal for them that this is not an abused child. Because even a child that was abused doesn't look at their parents that way. And a child in a normal, healthy family also didn't see their parents that way. It only happened in alienated children, and it happened to both the situation when the child was alienated from their fathers, or the situation when children were alienated from their mothers. So we see this is a common situation for children that have been alienated. And it's not the situation of abused children, it's not a situation of normal divorced children, it's not a situation of children of intact family. So anyway, I've been wanting to share this paper for the longest time. There's a question in the chat room from, I think, Reay, about whether this was in the film. I think Dr. Bernet talked about splitting. We didn't show the study of this in our film, no. But we did show what Dr. Bernet talked about in terms of splitting. And he discussed this a little bit, but not specifically in terms of the number and the result of this paper. But we thought this was helpful. Let us know if you have any other questions. Okay, so I saw Reay said, great to have a way to measure. Also, what would be the numerical measurement of themselves in each situation? It said that kids' self-esteem is lower with familial issues. So this particular tool is to measure how they feel about their parent. There are different tools to measure children's wellness. And there's many studies of children of divorce where they definitely see themselves as lower self-esteem. We also have studies that are looking at the mental condition of alienated children, but they are now adult, looking back at their childhood. And those study, and actually I have walkthrough papers like that. So if you check in the videos, you will find it. And you see that these children have been severely impacted and definitely have impacted their self-esteem and things like that. So yes, it's definitely an impact on parental alienation on children's self-esteem. And this is why at the opening of this video, I was talking about how we wanted to, it's so crazy that Facebook would pop up information to me in the middle of a live session. Anyway, so this is why we wanted to create a particular program for children that going through situation of broken family, divorced, separated parents, or single parents, because we wanted them to help them to learn about self-esteem and life skill in general. How to find themselves, how to have critical thinking, and also to help them overcome when someone trying to brainwash or program or influence them and trying to destroy their relationship with one of their parents. So this is why we wanted to create that program. And we're in the process of implementing a pilot program for that. So if you have any input on what we should make sure to have in the program, we are open to listen to that. And or any other suggestion to help as well. Also, the other thing I wanted to say is we are specifically looking for parents in San Antonio, Texas, for a particular project. So if you are in San Antonio, Texas, we wanted to hear from you, especially if you are an alienated parent, if you have been rejected, if you have been denied of custody and things like that. We wanted to hear from you because we have a particular project specifically to do with San Antonio, Texas. So please reach out to us. Okay, so I think I answered all the questions that I could see. I saw Sue said, sounds like my son currently. It's really sad. I'm really sorry. Yeah. I saw Joe asked about what about psychosomatic illness and high anxiety. Yeah, definitely children, like I said, yeah, it definitely impacts their mental health. And then is there any is there something about heart? I don't think it's okay. Oh, okay. I think Sue said it would be interesting to see if each of the groups in the study would be followed regarding whether or not children reunited in some way with the alienated parents. Oh yes. So the alienated children that were studied in this particular study went through a reunification program, intervention program, and there was actually a study that reported the success, and I think the success rate after the reunification program was very high. I think it was almost 100%. 100% of the children that gone through that reunification program reunited with their family and had good relationship with their family, with their alienated parents afterward. This was one of the very successful programs for reunification. It was actually in Canada. Unfortunately, the lady that ran the program had a health issue, so the program is no longer in place. But there are still the same program or the same format or the same structure or principle in the US. There are still 2 of those programs in the US that are very successful, and they report their study outcome. Yeah, Renee said the program sounds fantastic. Curious how would kids would have access to if one parent is resistant, controlling, and isolating. So remember this study, the children was determined by court to be severely alienated. So what happened is these are the cases that they have already gone through court, and the judge already found that that the children are severely alienated, and the judge actually ordered the children to go to this particular program, and then the program then reunited the children. But before they went through the program, the first thing they did is to take this test. And that's why we got this result. It's coming from the children that had been determined that they were severely alienated, and then they went through the program. Oh, I don't know what happened here. Sorry. Okay, so in the US, for example, there's a program called Turning Point, and there's also Family Bridges. So those are some of the great programs that we definitely recommend in the US. I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff going on here that I'm not sure what it is. But anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you guys again very soon. We have a bunch of programs in the planning for you guys, and I can't wait to share more with you guys soon. But have a great time. Please join our mailing list on our website, victimtohero.com. If you go to the website on the top right-hand corner, you will see the place for you to join the mailing list. And please like this video, please share this, and we will post this on YouTube as well. And I see you guys again soon. Thank you so much.